and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a stitch with me session, so it'll be nice to have your company for a little while. And I'm going to be working on this chart which I started not too long ago called Sewing Lady, and it's a Heaven and Earth Designs chart, but it's no longer available, I'm afraid. But there is a version that you can get on Golden Kite website, I believe. So this is an interesting one because I started diagonally on the very left, and then I decided that I was going to change things up a bit, go to the very end and then come back again and go along this way. And I thought that was something interesting because whenever I do a full coverage, I always sort of work on the left side and I never seem to get much done on the right hand side. So with this one, I thought, yeah, why not just go to the end for a change and try to get something done on the right side of the chart, because I always feel like I'm very sort of efficient at getting, stitches in on the left, but I'm not very good at reaching the other side. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm at a bit of an impossible angle today, so you'll have to bear with me. The recent news is that I've changed all the furniture around in my living room area because we had a bit of a mishap over the weekend, and our television broke, and it was partly my fault. I knocked it, but it wasn't really intentional. But it's actually what ended up being a good thing, because we'd been thinking about upgrading and getting ourselves a new TV, although we don't really watch huge amounts of TV any longer. I mean, who does? Apart from Netflix soaps and things like that. But I tend to watch a lot of floss tube like everybody else. And anyway, so we just decided, let's get a new television that has a bit more of an upgrade to it, so that the quality is better and all the rest of it. So to fit this new TV, and I don't really go for the big, huge size televisions that look like you're in a cinema. I don't really go for that. I like a moderate size TV. We got a new one, which was like a 43 inch, I think it was, or 40 inch. That is just enough for me, to be honest. I don't need all my wall taken up with TV. But to accommodate this television, we've had to change a bit of the furniture around. So my stitchy spot is basically moved, which means I've moved, which means the camera's moved. And it's a little bit awkward, to say the least. However, I'm going to give it a shot and see how I can get along with it. Hopefully you're here to keep me company as well as engage with my chat, not just my stitching. But let's see how we go. Now, you can see that there's a lot of browns here. Yeah, let's not overlook the browns, because that's all there seems to be at the moment. And there has been a few times that I've gotten confused over which brown I'm actually working, because there's about 4 or 5 different ones going into a bit of greens. So yeah, it's getting a little bit, or has been a little bit monotonous and a little bit tricky to try and differentiate between one brown and the other. In fact, if I've made a mistake on any of these stitches, I really don't think anybody is ever going to notice. The odd stitch here and there. But there are some like burgundy ones scattered about as well. So there has been a little bit of a reprieve from the brown. Not too much, but a little. So I'm working this 1/1 now. I've switched from 10 to 2 strands. I've decided I don't want to have as much bulk, because I do a lot of parking. I don't want to have as much bulk, and I'm prepared to put up with the length of time or extra bit of time it might take me to finish the chart if I do it in crosses. But I really don't mind, because it's going to take forever anyway, so why not add a little bit more forever at the end? It is what it is, so I will just bear with it. Oops, just marking my pattern keeper off here. So how has everybody been? What are you stitching on? Are you doing lots of full coverage stitching, or are you stitching other things now? And you know what, I'm really thinking it's getting so close to Christmas. I know that people say, well, it isn't because it's only, early October, but it just has that, there's that, once the colder weather sets in, it gives me that feeling of Christmas is approaching, even though we've still got a couple of months. And I do feel like, I might start thinking about what I'm going to do for Christmas at least, or if I'm going to buy anything in particular. And let's not mention purchasing any more charts, because that at the moment is just something I don't even want to think about. It's been really funny because lately everybody in my community has been a little bit excited about new charts and new releases, and we're all starting new sort of designs, and yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. It's like, I'm sure that none of us actually need to start a new one, but hey, why not? You only live once, as they say. I've decided that I'm going to be sensible, because I usually am sensible. I don't buy hundreds of charts. And if I do buy something, I feel like I should honor it by trying to have it stitched before the end. But yeah, because none of us know when that will be, thank goodness. It's probably not difficult to start new charts and just go with the flow, because make your days happy with whatever you're doing. I say that with a caveat of slightly within reason, because some of us can't cope with dozens of charts, and others can cope fine, which is fine. That's great. I don't like to have more than, say, 6 or 7 on the go, and if I do have more than that, I try to make sure that I can get one finished. Like last year when I added Home for the Holidays by Thomas Kincaid, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to finish one last year to be able to accommodate another one. And then I started the HAED sale, like other people started the HAED sale, and that was just another one to accommodate. So I just put that into the rotation. And if you didn't get to see my last video, I was talking about how I wanted to. Everybody's talking about whipping down on their floss tubes recently, so I hadn't thought that I was whipping down, but I guess in some ways I was whipping down last month when I said, or a couple of weeks ago when I said that I wanted to just pick out 2 or 3 and work on those until the end of the year. So I picked out 4, I think it was. It was this one, The Sewing Lady, and I picked out the other new chart I started, which is Once Upon a Fairy Tale. Not the Amy Stewart version, the Jenna Della Grottaglia version, and Sad Fairy as well. She's going to be in the rotation until the end of this year. And then, of course, I've also got the HAED sale that I have to get a move on with, because I'm still trying to finish that 4th page. And I'm sort of doing well and sort of not, because when I bring it out, I'm doing quite a good amount of stitches, but I'm not really bringing it out enough. There is reasons for that, which I'll talk about, but I'm not bringing it out enough. And yeah, my stitchy time has decreased a little bit. Not huge, but a little bit. So I am well aware that I want to get the 4th page done. But yeah, will I, won't I? Who knows? Who knows? I can't tell you for absolute certain. I mean, I really think I'd like to, but I don't know for certain. Maybe. I'm gonna be positive about it and say I will, because if I keep saying that, then maybe I will. Okay, this is easy stitching at the moment. Well, fairly easy, because I've just got these browns, same colours to do, but my hand is kind of twisted right around. I'm going to have a shoulder ache by the end of this. My arm is twisted right around to get to the back of this canvas. My sofa is in a different place, different location in the room. So I feel a bit awkward, but I am trying for you. Somebody did say to me, would I do a stitch with me with the new 28 count new chart that I started? And I think I said I could give it a try, but first of all I want to see how I get on with this, which is 25 count, to see how I can get on with this angle and this side of the room, because it's also a matter of where can I put my camera and my camera stand. And at the moment I have it in a good place, but I can barely, I need to get pretty close, much closer to the canvas to see the 28 count squares. They're going to be half the size of these ones. They're really, really small. And I do lean in a lot more. And if I lean in now, I'm going to bump the camera with my head. So I'm not sure if I can actually do a recorded stitching session with 28 count. I might practice it when I'm not actually recording, but when I've, just sort of set it up as if I was. And maybe practice it and see if I can pull it off, or try to find a position. Hold on, I have to move my hip. Oh dear, it's getting a bit stiff. I may practice that position, and if I can do even say 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, if I can sustain that on 28 count, and be able to see the canvas properly, then we're good to go. But I think I'm going to need to practice that first, because I'm not rearranging all the furniture again. 2 sofas, 1 big coffee table, a sort of dining table, a grand piano, well, not a grand piano, but a large piano across the room, just to be able to get my camera set up. I think not. So I'm going to try and do it this way and see how we go. Yeah. And it's a bit chilly today, so I've had to get my jumpers and my sweaters and my scarves and wraps and everything and shawls all out of the cupboard. And then I realised, oh my God, now here's all the shawls that I started knitting and never finished. And I guess if there's a whipping down in cross stitch, we have to think about whipping down with crochet and knitting and all that kind of thing, don't we? Because yeah, if you're going to whip down one way, you should whip down every way. So what I actually did was I got all my knitting projects out of the cupboards as well. And I said, right, am I really, really going to finish this ever? It's been in my cupboard for like 4 years. Nope, I have no interest in continuing with it. I'm just going to frog it and maybe make something else with that yarn at a later point. But at least I don't feel the heaviness, the heavy burden of knowing that there's something there waiting for you. And every time you look at it, you think, oh, I'm just not really inspired to continue with this blanket or this knitted thing or this shawl or whatever it is. So actually wasn't that much I frogged it. It was only like 2 items, but I really wasn't that keen on them as I was doing them anyway. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with whipping down in those areas as well, I think. But I mean, they say you can never have too many shawls and blankets and things, but I think you can actually, because I don't have a huge amount of storage space, and trying to find places to pull blankets and wraps and scarves and all, they take up so much space, they really do. Right, what am I looking at here? So it's been a really good week. I feel better. I think in my last video I was saying that I felt like I had a bit of a cold or a bit of a flu bug, but that it wasn't a bad one. It was sort of mild to moderate. And there was some parts of the day when I felt like, oh, I'm okay now, and I could go out and, do whatever. And then there was other parts in the day when my cheeks were really hot. I thought, no, this has come back. This hasn't gone away. It's still there. It just sort of retreated for a little bit and then it decided to come back again, which is really irritating. And I don't know if you find it, but I think at night time, things always feel a bit worse. You always feel that bit worse when the evening comes. But that was all last week, the week before. Now I actually feel a lot better. I do feel a lot better. And I'm glad because I will be going away soon to visit family, to visit friends. And the last thing I want is to be sick on a plane. Good God. I'm absolutely terrified about being sick on a plane. Actually, kind of worried I'm going to make myself sick, worrying about being sick when it comes to closer to the time. I keep sort of checking to see if my throat's sore or if there's something that's, trying to rear its ugly head. I have to make sure I can get my vitamins and I'll maybe look after myself a little bit better before I go. So try to kill it off before it begins, kind of thing. And my husband went out like a work do in the middle of the week, and he had a nice time. It was like a colleague thing where they all went out to have something to eat. It was part business, part social. But he said to me that one of his colleagues, well, actually the big boss, was sitting there coughing, and he was really not very well. And he hadn't been well for a while, but he was wearing one of the masks, which I think was probably a good thing. I'm not sure how great those masks work, but he wore one anyway. But I said, my husband came back and I said, oh, did you have a great time? He said, yeah, but so-and-so was sick. He was coughing away. I thought, oh, great. Now he's going to pass the bug to you. And who are you going to pass the bug to? You're going to pass it to me, aren't you? So I was like, you can sit all the way over there. Do not come near me. Don't come near me actually for like 10 days till I go away, because I cannot afford to get sick, because I do not want to cancel the trip that I paid for like the beginning of the year. And he said, well, I'd get sick too. I'm like, yeah, well, that's, it's just as bad if both of us get sick. So I was not impressed, to be honest. Not impressed that people actually go out to functions and things when they're coughing and sick. I just think that, I don't know, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't, if it's like a tiny bit of a sniffle, you're not going to cancel your trip, right? You're not going to cancel your dinner plan or whatever. You just a tiny little sniffle. If you're actually coughing and you're sitting around lots of people and you're, visibly sick and other people have noticed, and you're wearing a mask, you're the only person in the room wearing the mask because you're sick. I mean, for goodness sake, that's not very considerate to anybody else, is it? I mean, there could be people there who are really quite vulnerable. So I don't think that's very, my personal opinion is I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go somewhere coughing and, infecting other people any more than I'd like them to do it to me. I think it's a simple matter of do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Isn't it really? Or am I just being overthinking it? I don't know. I don't understand why people do that. Anyway, never mind. We shall see. This was a couple of days ago, so hopefully nothing had been caught. And I don't want to be sounding paranoid. I think I'm sounding paranoid. I think usually I'm okay. I don't think about it. But I think when I'm coming up to, there's been times when I've actually been really sick and I've had to go on a plane. And those memories are not good ones. And I think I don't want to go through that again. There's a couple of times I had like a stomach bug and I had to get on a plane. And I thought, this is not the ideal place to be when you need to be in a toilet like 2 or 3 hours a day. And I've just had to, because I think we went to Paris, Disneyland or something, and we were flying consecutive flights, and I couldn't stay in an airport, so I had to get on a plane. And I was just hoping to God that I wasn't gonna be leaving things on the plane seat. And I was really, really, really not comfortable. Thankfully, I'd taken enough meds to get me through those flights. But I think those memories, not being good ones, are probably what causes all the worries every time I'm due to fly. So I think it's understandable. If I missed a stitch here with all my yakking, okay, that one's okay, that one's okay. Yeah. Even if I have, right, does it matter? Because they're all brown. Tell me I'm wrong. They're all like just browns. That one's there. So you've got 1, 2. Yeah, I think I've hit one of the other colours beside. Just going to mark it off. Are you really going to be able to tell that one beside here there's like 2 different browns in here, and I don't think they look much different. If you want to know, it's the 8-3. It's the 938 and 838, and one is just slightly darker than another. I'll put them here for you to see. I mean, seriously, is there a huge difference there? And if I took these numbers away, would you be able to tell which was which? No, I don't think so. So there you go. If I've done one or the other, I'm not going to frog it. It can stay like that. Okay. So, what else have I been up to this week? Well, oh yes, I have been so busy making Needleminders. So if you're unaware and you've only just come in, I started an Etsy shop about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was not prepared for the amount of sales that I got in those 30 days. So I know I'd had built up a little bit of stock, and I was prepared, for some sales, but I was not prepared for a little bit of a flood, and quite a lot of sales actually for the first few weeks. So I've been busy every day making Needleminders, and it's been quite funny because some of them have been sold out the same day that I put them up after spending all morning making them and posting up the listing and everything, and then going back and looking and finding out that it's gone already, which is great. I mean, I'm not complaining that it's been sold. I mean, that's the reason they're there, right? But it's like sort of like, oh my God, all that time spent and now it's gone. It wasn't even, which means I have to go and make some more, or fill the gap or whatever. So yes, I am trying my best, and I know some of you have messaged me and said, are you going to do any more of this one or that one? And the answer is yes, more than likely, but not all at the same time, because it does take time to make these things. It takes actually 2 or 3 days, because you've got apart from creating the artwork, for most of them I paint them myself on my tablet. So I create the actual pictures. You can see here from here, these ones, they're both my artwork. I've painted them myself. That takes anything from 1 day to 2 days to paint them. And I'm not talking about painting them on the actual disc. I'm talking about painting them into my software so that I have a digital copy that I can print and use to make the minders. Because if I had to paint each one individually, they would probably be worth a bomb, because I wouldn't have the time to be, like a factory worker distributing them like that. So I paint them on my tablet, and then I use that image over and over to make the minders. So that takes a whole couple of days. And then I've got, but once that's done, you have it there. And then I do the whole printing and gluing and filing and resins. Resins take a good afternoon. And then you've got the sandpaper work, and then you've got the sticking the magnets, and then you've got the sorting, and it just takes a lot of time. All the little steps, cutting out and resizing and printing and making sure the settings are good. it can take a while. So restocking the same ones, it depends on what I'm doing at the time and if I've got a lot of other ones to be doing, because I've got lots of ideas, but I don't always have, I get by about 7 or 8 o'clock, I'm too shattered. And I do want to do a bit of stitching as well. So to be fair, I stop and do a bit of stitching. And then it's getting the orders out and prepared and processed and organising the collections for the postman to come and collect them. So you're a one-man band, and I'm sure other people who've got shops and are quite busy know what it's like. You're a one-man band. You're doing everything yourself. You're doing the artwork, you're doing the cutting, you're doing the processing, you're doing the shipping, you're doing the packing, you're doing the emails, the list. Oh yes, taking all the photographs of everything as well, editing, doing your floss tube. It's quite, I never realised, I didn't think that, you don't think about how much work is involved. So it's fully justified when people, price them as they do, because it is a lot of work. I can spend up to 5-6 hours a day making these things. But having said that, I do want to say thank you, because I have thanked people obviously individually, but saying it now in a video is easier as well because it gets through to most people that have bought my minders. So I do want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate you going and buying them and supporting me, because in all truth, I can't do an outside job because of the problems I've got with my health, with my sciatica and my back issues. So for me to be able to do something at home and to be able to care for my son, who needs a lot of attention and support, it's just so much easier for me to be able to, earn what I can whilst I'm doing that. And so just thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it's fun, and it also is something a bit different, because I used to do a lot of stitching and reading, and then I was getting a bit bored of it, thinking there must be something else I can do. I'm so bored of just stitching and reading all the time. And so now I found it. I found my little side hustle, and I'm really enjoying it, so thank you. And what other questions have I been asked? I want to get this all out at once so that I don't want to spend the whole video talking about this, but some people asked me, how often do I put up new ones? Well, I usually put up a new minder every couple of days, or up to maybe a week at the most. So I have got, trying to get all my ideas down, putting up new ones. And there is some new ones that have gone up today. So if you want to go and take a look, they're all there. And I really, really do appreciate it. Appreciate the messages and everything. I can't say it enough, honestly, because I feel so humbled and so thankful at the same time. Is there any other thing else that I have been asked? I think that was it. I think I was asked those two things. If I was going to restock things. Oh yes, I'm also going to do some customized, but I'm not going to do that. That was the other thing I was asked, if I was going to do some custom minders. I'm not going to do that until I come back from my holidays. Because it's just easier for me to offer something custom when I'm here. There's no point doing it now because I'm going away on the 14th. So there's no point in offering something that I'm not going to barely get started before my trip. So when I come back, I'm going to offer a customized listing. And so I'll give a heads up about that when I get around to doing it. And also, I nearly forgot, somebody asked me if my shop was going to close when I go on my trip. No, I'm not going to close my shop. So if you want to go in and take a look, if you see anything you like and you want to buy it, but just know that I won't be processing it until I get back. So my dates will be, I will be back on the, where am I going? 17. Back on the 18th of October, and I will, but the 19th is a Saturday, so that I have to say the 19th and 20th, I think, I'll have to double check, is a weekend. So that's not going to count. I'll just be back on that weekend. And so 21st, I think, is the Monday. So as of the 21st, I will process all orders that come in the previous week. So I will also put up a notice about that in the Etsy shop so that you can know that that the shop is open and when I will come back and process it. So you know it's going to be a bit longer, because up to now I've been processing them pretty much the following day that I receive them, and they've been shipped within 48 hours. Sometimes that was a bit touch and go because I had quite a lot in one go, and you know, you've just sent out a batch and then another few come in and you think, oh lordy, now I have to process a few more. I thought I just got them out. But usually it's been about 48 hours that I've been shipping things, and I think that's reasonable for the amount that I've got incoming. If the incoming increases, it's going to take me longer, obviously, to process all of them. So at the moment it's about 48 hours and then they're out. And yeah, I think that's it. So the shop will remain open, and so I think that's it. And also somebody said to me, what's the name of the shop? And I forgot to even mention that last time. The Stitchy Witch Craft is the name of the Etsy shop, and the link I've put in the description below. So if you're looking for any unique original gifts that are hand painted with my original designs, there's some decoupage there. There's a few other bits that I've got from decoupage items that I've made, but mostly they are my drawings. So if you're looking for any Halloween gifts at the moment, you might like some of the cute little Halloweeny pictures that are there. I'm actually going to take a few myself over when I go over and give them to people as gifts, because they can use them as fridge magnets, right? Because Needleminders, fridge magnets, same thing. They're not stitchers, but they can still find a use for them, pretty sure. Right, I'm on to, this is a different brown that I'm using here. Can you tell? I bet you can't tell that this is a different brown. So now I'm on to the other brown. So for this chart, back to the stitching talk, for this chart, I'm not bringing it out for long periods because of the fact that, there's a lot of browns. Until I get down to an area where it's not too crazy with browns, till I get to something a bit more interesting. I'm not going to be doing long sessions. I probably, at the moment it's come out like once in the last week. Once a week it's come out, I think. But that's okay, because I've decided I'm not going to rush things and I'm not going to be in a hurry, and I just can't afford to get my head into a spin with all the things that I'm doing and running about with the shop and running about with the housework and my son. And my son is, I want to say thank you as well. This is a lot going to be a thank you video. I want to say thank you for the well wishes that I've had from my boy, he's 16 now, but he is on the spectrum, and he finds it difficult to take an interest in certain things that are outside of what he really loves, which is, technology and gaming and computers. But he finds it very hard to focus and concentrate on anything else. So it's difficult. It's difficult to get him to engage in things. He's fully engaged in the things he likes, but it's difficult to get him to engage in anything else. And he's going to be starting a sort of social scheme, I think it is, or some kind of once a week, which I think is really great, because I think that's just what he needs for his development. It's like, so he'll go to a place and it's like a charitable thing, and it's funded by the local government, And what they do is they take like a bunch of teenagers that have got special needs or special, or have difficulties in social situations or with certain things, and they get them all together and they teach them life skills. They take them out and they teach them how to catch a bus, how to pay on the bus, little things that we all take for granted, which these young kids have never really done, and they just need that guidance and confidence to be able to do it. And even I think to myself, I tend to do it. I've always done everything for him. So he's never really had to worry about it. Like if we go to get a bus, he just follows me. So he just follows me around, and I'm the one that pays for us, and I'm the one that finds the seat, and I'm the one that says, let's get off here. And then we go into a supermarket, and I'm the one that pays, and I'm the one that, he might help put something in a bag, but I'm the one that does all of the transactions and all those things. And it's easy to forget that when you have a child that doesn't really pay attention to anything, you need to sometimes think, well, it might do them good to teach them a little bit of this and how to do all this stuff. So yeah, I think that will be good for them. And I think they take them on little activities as well. So they do a bit of gardening, and they do a bit of, there's just a few things I think was mentioned on the list. We had like a meeting about it, and I think that will really, really boost his self-confidence, especially when it comes to talking to other people, because he has a lot of difficulty talking to people that he doesn't know. And I totally get that, because I understand it completely. It is difficult to walk into a room and to assess everybody that's in the room and be able to have that confidence to cope with what they're saying, what they demand from you, what the social rules are. And the social rules can be difficult because they don't really know them, and anxiety takes over. So sometimes I've seen that, for instance, we go into a room with my son and he gets all anxious and starts holding my hand and, pulling me aside, like, I can't do this. It's actually quite heartbreaking, because you can't actually do anything except try to help them stay calm and try to help them cope. So yeah, it is really tough for a parent to go through things like that. But I'm pleased that we've been able to find, things that will teach him and gradually grow his confidence. So he's not going to transition from school straight into the big unknown and get dumped into the deep end and be, crucified into going to a workplace, which I remember when I was younger and I left school, and I did terribly in school. I really did not care about school at all. But I redeemed it when I went to college. I went to college and I got some good qualifications. But I was absolutely terrified to go to a workplace which demanded they needed you to be adult-like. And I was very childish when I was 17 or 18. I went straight into work. And I had never a clue what I was doing. I was absolutely petrified of working. I was always anxious that I was going to do something wrong, that I was going to get fired, that people were going to be nasty to me, that customers would shout at me. It was always that waking up with dread first thing in the morning, that I wouldn't be able to cope. So this is a nice transition. I wish I'd had that opportunity when I was younger. This is a nice transition for him to gain confidence, I think, is the main point of it, and also for the life skills, so that he can, because I'm not going to be here forever. His dad's not going to be here forever. He's going to one day have to fend for himself, and the better equipped he is when he's a bit older, then the better he'll be able to deal with life in general. So yeah, it's nothing. So it's not about forcing him to do it. It's about guiding him, I think. I think that's what we're aiming for. And he's receptive. He's interested. He thinks that the idea, I think he kind of wants to be independent in a way, wants to learn how to be independent. I think the wanting to learn is probably the bit that matters, because learning and wanting to are two different things. You can be forced to learn something which you don't really want to do, and in which you won't apply yourself later because you've been forced into it. But the wanting is the thing that we're most happy to see, because if he wants to do something, it shows that he's capable of paying attention and focusing and concentrating and actually making an effort, which is, I think, the problem we've had with school is the lack of effort, the lack of interest, the lack of engagement, which is almost impossible to get somebody to do. Once they show signs of engaging and being interested, that's when the magic happens. But yeah, it is hard, but we'll see. Every day I've learned in my life to take things by day now, because when I was younger, the whole world was a terrible place and the future was too frightening, and I'd worry about next week and next month and next year. Now I don't worry about anything beyond, like, tomorrow. Anything after tomorrow doesn't exist at the moment anyway. So whatever's going to happen, if it's going to happen, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. And maybe it never does happen. So I'm not the worrier that I was. I've kind of taught myself that those kind of anxieties, because I've also been a very anxious person, but those kind of anxieties just don't do anything. They just don't take you anywhere. They just don't help you. I just put them to rest now, you know. Of course, there are times when I'm going to get a little bit anxious. I'm only a human. But I do a lot of I know meditation sounds like a really, overused word that's used for lots of things. But I do find my own time and my own space where I can be calm and centered and grounded, and helps me to cope more with the stresses of life. I'm more able to actually accept them as well. So when a bad thing comes along, I no longer run around like a headless chicken screaming. I'll actually take a deep breath and say, right, okay, what can I do about this? And if there's nothing I can do, yeah, okay, then I may cry, may get upset, but I just have to accept it. And I think acceptance is the key. It's the key to moving forward. Anyway, I hope none of that is sounding too dreary or miserable. Just really speaking from the heart there. How am I getting on with this colour now? Because I've filled in everything with this colour, whether it's brown or not. So I better mark it off and see. Right, okay. So I can park this now below. And what colour do you think I've got next, guys? Is it going to be blue, pink, yellow? No. There's only one colour coming up. It begins with a B. Oh gosh, I can't find this. So some of you may be wondering what I think of the 1/1, because I've always done 2/1, mostly. I quite like 1/1. I didn't like it originally. I think I got it into my head that it was just going to take, I think I probably heard somebody say, oh, it takes too long to do crosses. And I might have just accepted that as the thing. But I think I found now that using a small needle like this one, which is a 28, I believe, has made it so much easier, because it just slides through like so much easier. There's none of this like trying to get in between the 4 stitches, poking it, it just glides. So I think if you get the right needle for you, it just makes all the difference. It really makes a huge difference. Right, I'm just going to grab my scissors from somewhere. Be back in a second. Okay, let's see. Okay, this square here is a little bit more crazy than that square. There's a lot going on. In fact, I'm going to start not on the top left, because the way the stitches go is a little bit mad. They're a little bit all over the place. So I think I can only endure about an hour and a half on this chart without my eyeballs rolling to the back of my head. Because there really is only so much brown you want to stitch, right, in one session. Then you want to go and get something a bit colourful. So I am actually looking forward to what's coming down here. And I'm also glad, I do not regret, trust me, do not regret chopping off a few stitches at the top of this one. There is way too much brown going on up there. Oh, my needle went a bit crazy. I think, let me have a look at this mock-up. I think we're not going to, it looks darker than the mock-up actually. The whole picture looks darker than the mock-up. Well, what I see that I've done so far. So I'm hoping that as I come down, it's going to brighten up a bit or a lot, because I don't really want it to be a dark design, to be honest. But then, you know, HAED usually do a good job of their charting. It's usually very, very close to their mock-up, so I'm going to have to put some trust in that, really. But I have to say, if I get like a couple of pages down and then I see that it's going to be too dark, that would be disappointing. I think you'd be disappointed too. But we'll just have to see. The only way to find out is to actually do it. I think it'll be okay. There's nothing wrong exactly with it being a little bit darker than the mock-up. But I would like a bit of, you know, contrast. I wouldn't like the whole thing to be too drab or anything. So I'm going from right to left and I've just moved this a bit so you can see. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares left to do. Then I'm not sure if I'm actually going to work from right to left or from left to right. I said I was going to go to the end and come back again, but I think I'm just going to vary it and see what happens, because there's no point in me saying I want to do it this way or that way, because I end up changing my mind anyway. So yeah, we'll just wait and see. Wait and see what way the enthusiasm falls. Now it's starting to feel a little bit croaky. It's the floss tube throat problem. Floss tube nose and floss tube throat. Two things combined make a very croaky floss tube. Okay, here we go. I can go to the end with this one. I love the way the needle's just gliding through this even weave now. So I've still got a lot of my other charts with 2/110. So I'm still obviously going to be doing that. I'm not going to change everything to 1/1. Did I just mess up that stitch? Yeah, the problem with the dark stitches is that, yeah, I've gone down the wrong hole. Sometimes it's hard to see when they're too light and too dark. Oh yes, the other question I had about my trip was, am I going to take any stitching with me? And sadly, the answer is no, I'm afraid, because I'm only going for a few days and I haven't been back to see I haven't been back there to see my family for well over a year, and I want to spend that time with them. I don't want to be, distracted with any crafts. I was thinking I might take a tiny little knitting project or something, but then I don't even think I'm going to be spending much time indoors. I'm going to be out and about, visiting people. And you don't visit somebody and sit down in their couch and bring your knitting out, do you? It's just something you don't do. Oh, hi, it's really nice to see you again after so long. I'll just do a bit of knitting, don't mind me. It's just not something you do. I do take my knitting if I go to my in-laws, say for Christmas or something, and I'm there for like 2 weeks, 10 days, which has happened often. And I just think I can't spend that long enclosed in a place and not do anything but sit in the room. And of course there is social time, but I also like my own time. So I can also at times just sit in a corner and do a bit of knitting or stitching or whatever when people are busy doing other things. But not when it's just a few days. And yeah, I want time to go out and chat with other family members and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm just going to get to the end of this row, and I think I'm going to actually call it a day for this stitch with me, because I think it's probably been long enough. I've noticed, like everybody else has, that there's been a lot more floss tubers around, new ones, interesting, great ones. And if I remember who I've been watching, I'll mention it next time. So I think I may finish this little square, and that will be the end of Sewing Lady for today. She can go back to the closet, and then I'm going to, cook some dinner and maybe just sit back and relax and enjoy our new television. So I'm actually watching a bit more now that we've got a new television. It's ridiculous. It's still a television, whether it's a new one or not, but the fact that it's new is a bit of a novelty. And just a slight bit bigger than the old one. And it spurred me to sit down and watch a few more things that I wouldn't normally watch, which I've enjoyed. At the moment, I'm watching House of the Dragons, which is amazing. My husband's kind of gone off it. I don't know why. That's usually his cup of tea, is medieval fantasy type series or movies. But for some reason, he seems to have lost interest. And now I'm watching season 2, which is just amazing. It's just absolutely incredible, like Game of Thrones was. Shocking, gruesome at times, but I think the intricacies and the deceptions between characters and the lies and the story, how they weave the story and the plot, is what grabs me more than just the endless fighting. But yeah, even the dragons are intriguing and everything. So I've really, really enjoyed it. And oh yes, I nearly forgot to mention, I bought a dragon eye from Dark Cross Stitch. You've probably seen her on either Instagram or on FlossTube, and she's got a fantastic shop with fantastic things. I think you should go and take a look. And I'll put a picture up of it because I don't have it right here with me at the second. But I thought it was fantastic because I've just been watching House of the Dragons, and I thought this is perfect. And this one is called Sea Smoke, apparently. The dragons have got different names. So I'm really kind of into it at the moment. But I don't think I'm going to be buying a dragon chart anytime soon. Because I think I've got enough to keep me occupied for the rest of this year. I think you'll probably agree with that. So on that note, I just want to say thank you again to all of you. And I wish you a very lovely week ahead. So yeah, let me know what you're up to, and I'll see you again very soon, my friends. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.